Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Siobhan and I'm here to share a story with you. It was 2013. Yeah, so it was 2013. I was in the state of Ohio in the United States. You know, work and travel, make some money to pay tuition during the summer. Before I get to that, I got to tell you something else. So the previous year, no, not the previous year, the year before, I had a fall while working with a particular company in the US. And this fall resulted in my spine curving 18 degrees. And right where it curved, there are now 2 slip discs, all as a result of that fall. So it happened my very first year on work and travel. Guys, I was stressed out. I had to be taken to the emergency room in the back of an ambulance. First time in an ambulance. First time back in a hospital since I was born in Jubilee Hospital, Kingston, Jamaica. Yes, and it was not to visit someone. They gave me some medication. They did some tests. Something I noticed that was a little sketchy was as soon as I went in and I said, I am from ABC company, I was immediately assigned to a particular doctor. You understand me? So our next doctor did go see me and they were like, no, you need to see so-and-so. Okay. Me not PN, me just want some help. So I saw so-and-so. He did his assessment, he made his notes, and he wrote his diagnosis. Went back home, got the medication, started taking it. He sent the document to ABC company. They called me up. They scheduled a visit with their company doctor, who told me that based on the doctor's assessment, I had a lumbosacral sprain and it was going to get better in 2 weeks. So I'd be fine. 2 weeks came. 2 weeks went. I was not fine. It got worse. My back got so stiff that in the mornings when I woke up, I couldn't get up out of bed at all. I couldn't walk. There are some days where I would be walking, step and not feel no left foot and drop straight to ground. It was that serious. So I realized that they weren't telling me everything. So I kept pushing it. Already in the US, I already spend money for the day. Need to make some money. Now I never come here. So still was trying to not push it too much or push it enough to get the medical attention I needed. I wasn't even thinking about money. Some people would have said, somebody actually tell me, say, girl, when you drop, you should have just lay down on the move and say, I can't walk. But you know, I wasn't thinking about all those things. I just wanted to be okay so I could work, pay my tuition, help my parents with some money and them way there, my brother, yeah. So I eventually got a back brace. I got 2. Surprisingly, my boss bought me a back brace from ABC company because he was and still is very nice. And the second one was sent by one of my uncles because he lives in the US. So I had 2. So I wore the one that gave me the most support. So it enabled me to continue working for another 3 months. I got promoted to supervisor, got another bag of things, work hard, good impression, got me hard at the end of the summer. The next summer came and I went back there. I mean, I had issues right throughout the year until the time came to go back. Went back there, started working again, brought my back brace, had it on and everything. Visited the ABC campus doctor again because, you know, I'm now standing for more hours, 13 hours a day, 14, 15, 16 hours a day because by this time I was promoted to area supervisor. I was unit supervisor the year before, so, you know, it's more work. It's more being on your feet. I had comfortable shoes, but it was a lot of pressure on my back. So went back to the doctor, ABC campus doctor. He sent me to do an MRI. They got the results. They never gave it to me at the time. They never told me about the results. I asked nothing. So they signed me up for therapy, physiotherapy. I said, okay. Went back to this hospital. As soon as I went in and said, I'm from ABC company and I'm here for a 2 o'clock appointment for, okay, you'll see Dr. So-and-so. Another doctor was like, no, I'll see her. The receptionist was like, no, she'll see Dr. So-and-so. And she just gave him a look. And I guess he knew what the look meant. I don't know if you figured it out yet, but let's keep going. So I went and I saw that particular Well, I shouldn't say doctor. A doctor you call him? I'm sorry, I don't want to call you the incorrect term after you've studied for so many years, but the person that does the therapy. Physiotherapist. Ah, smart girl. So the physiotherapist did his thing. We did stem therapy. We did water therapy, all kind of therapy. And at the end of every therapy session, I felt better because that's the aim, you know. He also showed me some things to do when I am home to keep the pain away and etc. But none of this was a fix to the problem. And in all of this, they never said to me, hey, this is what's happening. They were still telling me that it's just a sprain and it will go away in 2 weeks. And I was like, you said that a year ago, it's still here. Well, maybe you did something to further irritate it. Yes, I went back home and I went to school. I don't work. So anyway, did some therapy. That particular summer came to an end and I came back home. Before I came back home, there's this lady from ABC company in HR who told me that when you get back home, if you need to continue doing therapy in your country, we'll pay for it. Just shoot me an email. Came back home, my back got worse, and so I sent her an email. Guys, this lady responded with all caps to say, your MRI results showed that you have scoliosis, which is genetic, which means it did not come from your fall. Bruh. That was a slap in the face. I mean, all caps, which means she was shouting. So I replied and I said, well, I've never seen those results. I'd like to see them. Kindly forward same. Which she did. And she was very rude, etc. If you want to take this up with workers' compensation, go ahead. Now, poor me never know nothing about workers' compensation. But she told me to do it, so I went and searched. Google is your friend. Found out what it was, decided to do it. Spoke with some doctors here. They gave me advice. They told me to see I forgot the name. They told me to see a bone doctor to make sure I get something from him written to say, yes, she's been seeing me. Yes, she has this problem. That is actually the doctor who told me that, well, I gave him the results. Who told me that, yes, it's an 18-degree curve. And you also have 2 herniated discs in the curve. He also told me I needed to start wearing a back brace because my body became so dependent on it that it wasn't helping the situation. I needed to strengthen my back instead. He presented the option of surgery to fix it and said, it's a 50-50% chance that you will walk after surgery. That was not a risk I was willing to take. I could walk. Yes, I had issues some days, but I could still walk. So I didn't want to do any surgery. I didn't want anybody getting into my spine and then coming out of surgery not knowing what it was going to be. I really just wanted the letter from him to go with my workers' compensation documents. So I filed it, sent it to ABC company, and signed up for work and travel again to go back there a 3rd year. Didn't know they had plans for me because they received a call from workers' compensation in the US. So I arrived. It's year 3. I'm here to work again. You know, my boss was so excited that I was back. They couldn't wait. A little insert here. That was 2013 that the police thing went down. And up until last year, 2019, my boss is still telling persons about me. How do I know this? A few persons from my university went overseas to work at that same company and sent me a message to say, hey, so-and-so is talking about you and telling everyone that you were one of his best supervisors and blah, blah, blah. So it was a really good person. Okay, back to where I was. So I arrived at HR that day. Went in and I said, hi, my name is Siobhan White and I'm here for orientation. The place went silent. Like, I think all the workers already knew my name. And they must have been told that when this young lady arrives, let us know and don't process her. They asked me to step aside and I was like, but why? Oh, someone needs to speak with you. But you're processing everyone else. Speak with me about what? Just step aside and wait. So I did. Someone from an office called my name. So I went over there and I sat down. And she was like, you can't work here this year because we're worried about your health and we don't think you're healthy enough to manage the workload. Is that really what it is? I didn't say that. She said that and I was like shocked. And she was like, oh, and you're going to have to leave the country today. We're sending you back to Jamaica. As much as I was shocked, I was like, hold up. I know the type of visa that I have. I have a J1 visa. Okay? You're not my visa sponsor. You cannot tell me to leave the country. You're my employer. You can fire me. Fine. But you can't tell me to leave the country. So she calls up the visa sponsor. She going with a bag of things. She have to leave the country. No. And the visa sponsor was like, but why? If you don't want her to work there, then cancel her contract. But you cannot tell her to leave the country. And she go on and she go on and she go on and she turned pink and she created a fit. And she just didn't want me to be in the country because she knew that once I'm in the country, I can seek legal advice and then their pockets would burn. Because she saw that workers' compensation claim and she knew what was coming. So she said, you can't work here, you gotta leave now. You can't even sleep here tonight. Go pack your things and leave. No, in my head, I say, my uncle is hours away. Hours from Ohio, okay? All the way in Maryland. So now let me can just get up and go to know. I don't know anybody else nearby here. If you just pack up my things and come out of the housing and go where tonight? Go book one hotel? Remember, this is a seasonal place where a lot of tourists come from all over the world to come here. So all the hotels in the area are expensive. So I called my uncle. He called my mother. She called me. You know, passing news around. I actually left HR and went to my boss because he knew I was coming but he hadn't seen me. So when I went and told him what happened, he dropped what he was doing immediately. He called up the manager for the company because the manager loved me so much as well because of my work ethic. Both of them marched over to HR, stopped all proceedings and went into the office with this lady. And I could hear them on top of their voices in there asking her what she was doing and why. And they were just going at it. And he's like, no, you can't tell her to leave. And HR's like, yes, we have the right. And they were just going head on about me leaving. It all boils down to HR really has the right to hire and fire. So there's nothing they could do. They tried. They went on their phone. I don't know who they were calling. The manager took out his phone. Supervisor took out his phone. And it was just, it was a whole lot. And then everybody is standing in the office waiting to sign up for orientation. And all eyes are on me now. And it was just a very unpleasant experience, to say the least. So they decide that she has to go. So the manager steps out of the office. He walked past me so fast that I could have just spin. He was angry. He busted out the door and went outside, still on his phone. And the supervisor, the person below him, came out to me and said to me that they said that I have to leave and he's going to give me his credit card to go and book a hotel for as long as I need to stay there until I figure out what I'm going to do. Now, if that's not a blessing, I don't know what it is. This man gave me his credit card and PIN. If my man never raised me good, I could have got done the man money online. But thank God for Mama and Papa. So he said that he was going to take me to the hotel. I should go and pack my things. So he went back around to his department, I guess, to advise him that he was leaving the compound for a while. When he left, I heard a siren outside. Siren. So I'm wondering, Wakip, only to hear this lady come up to me and say, no, he can't take you. The police is here to take you. So I said, police? For what? Why? The police has to escort you for things like this. And I'm like, no, the police doesn't. And she adamant that the only way I'm leaving is in the police car. And she go on. And she realized that I was getting teary because it was really overwhelming and embarrassing. It's right there in front of everybody. This lady got look at me and offer me one bottle of water and one cookie. Maybe it will make me feel better. That's what she said. Those were her exact words. I told her I didn't want it. I was sitting. She put the cookie and water in my lap. I kindly moved them from out of my lap onto her carpet. I didn't want it. Cookie and water getting me? Eh? So the police came inside. He said, "Are you Siobhan White?" I didn't answer. The lady answered. He said, "Okay, let's go." He took me, put me in the back of his car, drive with him siren. You know the police car them have the grill, panny glass, panny window, and grill behind the driver and him something. Or that kind of car them I talk about, okay? Drive with him siren, go over housing, walked behind me to the room that I had my stuff in, told me to pack, and he opened the door wide and stand up in that doorway. And then everybody I walk past and I look, I wonder how I want to walk it. So I said to him, "Does the door have to be open while I pack?" "Yes, for safety reasons." I said, "Okay, you can step on the outside while I pack." And he sat on the outside and me locked the door. Why the door if you open while I pack? It's already embarrassing enough over nothing. So I packed my things. "Do you need help with your suitcase, ma'am?" "No, thank you, I've got it." I took my suitcase, went to the car. Long story short, he brought me to the hotel. We got there. "Do you need me to walk in to register?" "No, I can read and write, thanks." I went in, registered, paid for the room, go in the room, ball. Couldn't even eat. Ball and ball and ball. I'm like, Jesus, what is? What me do to deserve this? Like, it was, I'm saying it now and it's like I'm reliving it. And it was just something I'd never want to experience again, something I would never want anyone else to experience. I mean, it could have gone otherwise. Maybe I could have resisted and I could have been statistics. Hello, that's the reality. So, I was there. Reality. So, I was there at the hotel. I had met this young lady the year before. She is near and dear to my heart. I messaged her, told her what was up. She wasn't coming there to work that particular year. She lived 4 hours, 5 hours away. And she said, "I'm going to come and get you tomorrow. I'm going to drive. You're going to come and stay with me until you figure things out. So you don't have to stay in a hotel all by yourself and stress out." This girl left her house. She went to work the next day in the morning, left our yard and drive, come 5 hours to come pick me for carry me to our yard. And she brought me to work every day. She worked in a mall, so I'm just chilling at the mall, sit down, do all kind of things. I mean, it made it so much better for me because I was there with her family at home and her mother was so warm. Her mother went sure she went and bought stuff. What do you want for snacks, etc. They were very, very, very crucial to this process. So I didn't just want to up and leave her house in 2 days because, she made some effort to make me comfortable. So I told my uncle I'll come to him in a week because he was preparing to purchase a ticket for me to get to him. But I kind of jumped a little part of the story, so I'm going to just backtrack a little bit. When the first night I stayed in the hotel, I was supposed to get out by noon the next day, but she wouldn't get there by noon because she had work. She wouldn't get there until night. So I was like, I could use, because I told my supervisor what happened. He said that I should use the car to pay for another night. But I was like, no, that's a waste of money. I'm not going to sleep here. I'm just going to check out. He got his card. He wrote down the card number and the CVC and everything and paid on a paper and said, pay for the room when he left. But I didn't. I just left. He was adamant, pay and stay in here. It's safe. I really didn't. I didn't want to stay in there. So I packed and I went outside. At that point, I didn't know she was going to come in the night. I thought it would have been, afternoon, evening hours, but she had some hold up. So I was all alone on this long stretch of road with my little suitcase, just standing on the road. Where was I going to go? There weren't any stores. The only thing on that long stretch of road are hotels, motels, restaurants. You go in there, you sit down too long, you're not buying nothing, they might ask if you leave. I couldn't take any more stress and embarrassment, so I didn't even attempt to go into another restaurant to sit down. So I was standing outside at one point and some unscrupulous looking people, I think that's a nice way to say it, passed me by, smoking and everything, and they noticed that I was alone. So they passed one way, passed the next way, passed the next way. At this point, me start get antsy because I'm like, why they must circle me? So there's a gentleman in a store that notices what's happening, and he comes outside and he says to me, "Hi, you work at ABC company?" So I said, "I no longer do." He said, "You can come and sit in my store." It's a huge store with glass front, so you can stay outside and sit inside, stay inside and stay outside. So I was comfortable to go and sit in there. Offered me coffee, offered me a meal. And he just started talking about the company and explaining to me that he had a very similar experience with that company. He had an injury, filed a claim. They fired him because he filed a claim. I mean, he lives in the US, so he still got to get some compensation. But they fired him, and as revenge, he opened up a food store near to them. And trust me, the tourists do go out there and buy in the days instead of, I mean, people still buy on the compound, but a lot of persons go out there to buy. So he said that's what he did to feel good about it, because it really destroyed him at the time. So the time went by and everything, and she finally got there. She picked me up, took me home. I cried in the back of her car. I don't think she even knows this, but I was just so overwhelmed at her kindness, overwhelmed at everything that happened, thinking about the fact that I have this back injury that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life unless God heals it. And it was just a lot. It was just a whole lot to digest, to think. You're far from your parents, people you're used to, give you comfort. You're just out here at the mercies of the goodness of other people. But God is in control. Yeah. Always remember that God is in control. So just trust God and pray in the midst of everything. So I made some calls while I was at her house, call around, talk to some lawyer firms, etc., etc. There were like 4 different lawyers who had agreed to take on my case. And for every single one of them, 3 days later, they call me back to say, "I'm sorry, we can't take your case." And I asked why. "I'm sorry, we just can't take your case." So I don't know what was happening. I don't know if when I really don't know. But they said they couldn't. What can I do? Finally got one to say, yes, we're going to set up a court hearing online. No, that's a lie. The workers' compensation people set up a hearing because they filed a claim, they're going to see it through. So they set up a hearing. The ABC company made sure that they came up with some kind of excuse why that hearing dates couldn't work, because they knew that I could only stay in the country for a month, because on a J1 visa, once your work contract expires, you have 4 weeks to be in the country. So they knew that. So they push it until they made sure that the date was when I was back in Jamaica. So I attended that court hearing via telephone. I remember that day I was so anxious. The phone call came in, answered it. You know, they ask questions, what happened, I tell what happened, etc. What has the company done? I said it, blah, blah, blah. What happened, blah, blah, blah. And then they got to the point where the physiotherapist was to speak. Do you know what this man said? He said, in 2012, the last time he saw me, after my visit, I told him my pain level was 0. Obviously, that's what therapy does. And so because my pain level was 0, he strongly believes that I injured my back while going back to Jamaica by lifting a suitcase. Now, I don't think he was paying attention in middle school, because if you look at the logics of the events, if I injured my back while going back to Jamaica and I saw you for the pain before going back to Jamaica, that means the injury was there before I went back to Jamaica. And it fly with the judge, and they said, okay, we'll send you an email in a week on the results of your hearing. And the email came to say, we do not find ABC company liable for blah, 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 blah. And that's how that ended. It was unfair. It was unjust. But it was my reality. I tried to find out different things that I could do, but being outside of the US, it made it so very difficult, because the persons who were willing to take it on were few to non-existent. Persons who did say yes, after they did some research, contact ABC company and come back, oh, sorry, we can't take your case, you have to be in the country. So that's really just how it ended as it regards that. I must say, though, that God has been good. My back pain is not what it used to be. My back pain was very terrible, preventing me from going to class, etc. I remember one day I was on the hall that I resided as a student, and there was this particular young lady who was new on the hall, and she saw me in a back brace, And she called me one day and she said, "Me tired of seeing that something here, you know." And she took it off and she threw it. And she said, "I'm going to pray for you and you have to believe." She never have to tell me that. Because when it comes to my faith, listen, the type of faith that I have in God, but she didn't know. She said, "You have to believe that the pain will go." And she prayed, and as of that day, I have never had the severity of pain that I've used to have before. And I've never had to depend on the back brace. The only time I would wear it was if I would clean the backward movement of the broom and the mop, it would cause my back to hurt. But I've never had that severe crippling pain, or I've never been walking and fall down because of it. None of that has happened since that day. And so I must say, praises be to God. And one last icing on the cake. So I was getting married in 2017. And it was on my mind because I got married a virgin. If you want to hear about that story, comment below. So, yeah, I was getting married. I was a virgin. And I knew that as much as I never know much about sex, I know so your back needed for sex. Me right or me right. And so I prayed a special prayer. I'm going to tell you now my prayer say. Okay? I said, "God, you're the God who is able to do all things. And so I'm asking you this. Until you decide to fully heal my back, and if you don't decide to fully heal my back, I'm going to need you to give me the grace to deal with the pain, a little bit of pain, and I still have a nenge pain. But most of all, I'm about to get married. And I don't ever want it to be a case where this back pain interferes with my sex life, ever. I'm going to tell God straight, I say, God, I don't want ever have sex and feel back pain. And brothers and sisters, I've never felt back pain while having sex. Never. I felt it while mopping, while doing this, while reaching for stuff, simple as reaching for one tin boom in one cupboard. I feel back pain, look, one little sticky pain. But having sex, it has never happened. And so unto him who is able to keep you from falling. Hallelujah. But yeah, guys, pray about everything, really and truly. God listens, God cares. He cares about every aspect of your life, not just the big healing from cancer, healing from AIDS, dead and come back. Yeah, he does all those things, but he still specializes in those little things that will make your life happy. And I must say that God is good, God is great, God is awesome. And so, injustices will happen to you in your life. You can't do anything about that. Because people are cruel, people are unkind, people are selfish. People are loyal to the companies that they work. They want to keep their jobs, so they want to, prevent the company from paying up a lawsuit. So you will face injustices in life. But let me tell you this. When you're going through it, just hold on to God. And God will bless you with people around you that will be there to support you, that will be there to hold you up in prayer, hold you up in encouragement. Hold on to God, because you'll get through it and you'll be able to come and share your story with someone else and say, hey, what you're going through right now may be rough, but you can get through it. And this is how I got through mine. You understand? We overcome by the words of our testimonies. Thank you for watching this lengthy video. I hope you are encouraged if you're out there going through something deep and dark and unfair. Because trust me, injustice can make you very bitter and angry. So just reach out to God. Yeah, reach out to the good people in their life. And hang in there, you're gonna make it. Share this video with someone who may be experiencing a low period. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned. There's more in store.